Halloween costume is done. Hello, for anybody who's watching this. No, I'm not that much of a slacker. I actually had my costume done in a week before you'll be seeing this video. There are gears and pins everywhere. So, Halloween. What's the biggest part of Halloween? Costumes, obviously. Now, since it is getting so close to Halloween, it's important to really start considering your costume and all of the different elements to it. And what not to do. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Number 1. This is the biggest tip and I can't stress it enough. Avoid Halloween costume fabrics. Halloween costume fabrics are the epitome of my life. Obviously they're used in Halloween costumes because they're cheap and they're affordable and you can crumple them up in a ball, chuck them in a chest, and for your next kid who wants to be the same superheroes 3 years later, you can just pull it out and it won't be wrinkled and put it on them without any time to prepare, and they can just go out in that costume. If you're looking for a really good top-notch costume, try to avoid these fabrics as they look dingy. Obviously they're good for children as they tend to spill stuff and they tend to be messy and they just change their minds so rapidly and they're not going to care in a few years. But if you are older, and you know, there are still plenty of adults who like to dress up, especially for stuff like Comic-Con, if you are older, try to avoid these fabrics as they do look cheap and they just don't work that well. For example, here's a piece I used as my Halloween costume last year. I was a Hufflepuff. Just a Hufflepuff. Nothing specific. And it was Halloween costume fabric. I don't know how well you all can see this, but it has the logo on it and everything. But it is great because they're also very stretchy, so they can kind of fit more sizes. You can just kind of get one general size and it will stretch. And that is the thing, is it is very stretchy and very comfortable, although it doesn't look that good. You see this and you can look at it and tell that it's just some cheap thing that you bought off online. Which is true. It was not that high quality or expensive or anything like that. But obviously if you are looking for a really good, nice looking Halloween costume, try to go as authentic or real looking as you can. For example, on my coat, you can see, but I have gears everywhere all over up here. I have some gears on the hat. They're actual metal gears, so they look real. This is a real trench coat. So you know, looks real. These are actually my friends, but this is a real top hat. You know, it's of high quality, not costume fabric. And these steampunk goggles are also, just by feeling and touching them, the leather around the top feels really nice. Just everything in general feels really well put together. That's one of the ways you know that you can try to use that. Also, and obviously this is a no-brainer, the more expensive something is, usually, is the better quality it's going to be. That's another great thing about general Halloween costume things, that are the cheap Halloween costume quality tend to be cheaper, but obviously if you are really into Halloween and you want a really nice, authentic, cool costume that just looks really cool, you are going to want to spend a little bit more money, because it really go a long way into making your costume look like this versus this. Number 2, know your audience. Obviously knowing where and when you're going to wear this costume will also influence your choice greatly. For example, if you're going to be wearing this costume at, say, a office or a school kind of Halloween party, know your audience. Obviously, if you're wanting to do the sexy nurse, don't do it there. You could get fired from work, or, suspended from that or school. I mean, you're gonna get in trouble because that's not school and work appropriate, even if it is a costume dress-up day. But for example, if you're going to a club that night, or you're going to like an adult Halloween party or even a college Halloween party, that would be a more appropriate time to wear less clothing and show a bit more skin, just, because of the intention, especially if you're intending on getting a little flirty that night. Hey, I'm not gonna judge, you do you. I don't care, but if you want to get some of that Halloween spooky on, there's a time and a place. Number 3, comfort and safety over fashion. Yes, I know, especially for somebody like me, obsessed with fashion in general, there is a time and a place for fashion and a time and a place for safety. Obviously, if you live in some place that is more south or north, closer to the equator, you won't have to worry about dressing as warm. Maybe you can be that mermaid, or wear that skin-tight uniform, or hey, even the sexy nurse. But if you do live in Utah like me, or somewhere else that is farther north, it gets really cold towards winter, autumn kind of season. Obviously, if you're going to be spending your whole time while you're wearing that costume inside, it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. But if you are planning on being outside, or if you're going to an outside event while you're wearing your costume, take that into consideration. This is a great costume to wear for all occasions, for anything, especially for outside, because if I'm going to be outside wearing this costume, there's a liner. I did take it out because it's very hot, especially with 3 lights on. I have 3 lights on right now. But there's a liner if it gets really cold, or if I know I'm going to be wearing this costume outside. I can just put in the liner on this coat, and then I'll be nice and warm, and I won't have to worry about that as much. Also, again, kind of knowing your environment, if you're going to be wearing your costume at school or an office or something, obviously weapons and different things like that, lightsabers, swords, depending on what your costume is or what you're being, can totally just add to your whole costume and everything that's going on. But you can also get in trouble, especially if your school has a dress code when it comes to Halloween costumes of things you can and cannot do. I know for my school specifically, weapons are not allowed, even if they are just fake weapons. Those are my Halloween tips and tricks to hopefully help you a little bit with your costume and in knowing what you really want to do. Obviously, take to the internet if you have any sort of idea. There are hundreds of variations. For example, this is the idea I wanted in steampunk, but I could also look online and find more cyberpunk variations. I could find more modern, more gothic, and there are just tons and tons, especially for a genre as diverse as this one. There are so many different ways you can go with that. And remember, above all else, stay safe. Bye!